there guys, this is Malorian, and this will be a video talking about my lists for the Steamroller I'm going to tomorrow. So I want to walk you through what's in my list and why I took it, so that when I do the battle reports after, I won't have to kind of explain each of the choices and really what I have. So the first caster I'm taking, this is Epic Cain, Cain 2, and he is a fantastic caster. With his range assassination, he really can deal with almost anything. There's not a lot of times where I look at him and go, wow, there's nothing really I can do, unless the opponent is really good at anti-shooting. He always either is a good person to have there for assassination, or I actually like to play him more as attrition. It's actually kind of funny that I play these assassination casters and then just kind of shoot down the troops and start scoring to get the win by scenario. But it's just kind of the way I play. So his list here is something new that I'm trying, and this is actually running him with double Stormwall. So just to really get the list out first, it's Cain 2 with the one Stormwall and the Squire. There's also Junior running the second Stormwall, and this is where I made them all pink, just so you can tell the difference. And hey, if I'm going to take two, I might as well have fun with it. There's also 2 units of Rangers, just to make sure that I have stuff to throw up there to deal zones, to make sure I can mark stuff, and just get more bodies on the table. And then as well, I have a Tinker, I have the Reinhold, and that's really the list. You know, when you got 2 of the Colossals, the points go pretty quick. Now, I've tried 2 Colossals with quite a few different casters, but I'm really intrigued with the idea of Cain. One of the ideas is that Cain, a lot of times when I lose with him, it's actually because he gets shot down. Well, if I have 2 Stormwalls to hide behind, that's actually going to make it very tough for him to actually die. So really how it works is one Stormwall moves, then the Cain can move out, shoot some stuff, gate crash back, and then really the other Stormwall closes the door. What I can also do here is also do kind of a skew, where I do the 2 Colossals, and if Cain is ever to go up and feat to kill off a heavy, you know, if I have a heavy coming at me and I say, you know what, I'm just going to shoot that guy off, pop feet, there he goes. All of a sudden the opponent has a much harder time dealing with the storm walls. So far I've had kind of a mixed results with this list, but I think it's more that I just need to get more practice and being more careful with it. I know one of the weaknesses of it I've already found so far is that Cain can normally charge out and get some pretty crazy lines for assassinations, but he does not have Pathfinder. So sometimes if Stormwall goes down, it also can take an assassination away from me, because that huge area of rough terrain can be very, very inconvenient. But then again, I mean, it's really situational. So for the most part, this will be my go-to list. Not only do I feel it's really strong, but it's also nice and easy to play, right? There's not many models. It's very defensive, very straightforward. I do actually have a lot of options though, right? I mean, this is great against infantry because, hey, not only can you not get past my 4 covering fires, but Cain will shoot down, you know, half a unit a turn at least type thing, right? So it's really great there. You know, if I'll drop this against Cricks, no problem. And it's really if there's something with a lot of heavies or something like that that's fast, then I'd be worried about him getting to me too quick. So my second list is going to be Striker 2, another one of my favorite casters. He's another one where it really doesn't matter what's going on. If he can get to the enemy caster, it can be game over just like that. So I like running him in a way where I do a swarm. So you're going to see that in a second. But really what I like doing with this is having him so I have the assassination threat. And people know how dangerous he is. And that forces people to keep back some of their forces, playing more defensively. And once they play defensive, that's where the swarm really comes in. So here's the list here. I'll go over it first before I talk about the why. I'm going to have Striker 2, who is running Old Rowdy. I'm going to be having a Junior again. Then, kind of going from the front to the back, I have a unit of Press Gangers. I have a unit of Sword Knights. There is Master or Hawk, whatever. There is Gorman. There's Alexia and her Risen. I have 2 units of Stormblades. I also have in this list the Nis Hunters, and then a Stormcaller and Roopers. Now, as you can see here, it's a lot of models, And actually, it's not quite what I normally like the list to be. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because I change up this list a lot. I mean, really, it's just swarm, swarm, swarm. Sometimes I go all Signar so that everything works on his feet, rolling thunder. But as well, the mercenary packages can really do the jam a lot better. And so this list right here is a little bit of a mix of one, but straight up, one of the things that I wish was here that's not is that unit of Sword Knights should be a second unit of Press Gangers. Then all of a sudden I got 20 AD guys that are really fast and they're tough and they're just in your face. Having these guys here, they're not too bad. In my other list, I used to have Sword Knights all the time because when they have Arcane Shield on them and with deflection and they're base to base, they are really hard to take out with shooting. And even in melee, they will kind of shrug away the smaller attacks and they're pretty fast. So I like throwing them up quick to get in there and kind of jam things up. Then I also have, of course, Alexia and her Risen because, man, when you have this many models, you might as well be getting corpses from it and all that stuff, right? And starting to raise them. Plus, one of my issues is that I can't really deal with heavies with some of the things that are here. So she can normally kill a heavy in the end if she has enough Risen to do it. And as well, if I'm jamming enough, if I can get in range of their caster, it can really shut them down where they might need to be, double whatever their costs are. Now, I also, pretty much in every single list I take with him, I take the 2 units of Stormblades. Because they're with Striker 2, they get an advanced move, so they get really up there and serious. Of course, they get to benefit from the feat and really do great work from it, but they really are my hard hitters. So that's why I really can't see these guys going away ever. They're fast in that they get advanced move with him, they hit really hard, and they get the feat. And again, with deflection, they're basically armor 17, but then again, they don't normally get shot at all because there's so much other stuff coming at them, right? Normally, the 2 units of Press Gangers and blah, blah, blah. Then we get to the real chaff, and the real thing that usually bogs things down the best is actually the Nis Hunters. So the Nis Hunters here, their defense 15, and then I got Rupert, and Rupert can make them defense 16. And so at movement 7, they can get in there very quick. Defense 16 is really hard to hit, and so they do a fantastic job of just bogging the opponent down. And meanwhile, they're weapon masters. They can fight that way. They have their bow shots, so if I need to shoot down some Bile Thralls or something first, I can do that. They're very, very versatile, and they're great. I know some people don't like Nis Hunters. Some say I should put Murdoch on them, but it really comes down to what would I take out to put in Murdoch, because I really like almost every choice in this list. I'm running, of course, Old Rowdy because, hey, when things need to get down and dirty, I get the +2 defense against shooting. I can't be knocked down. He can't be slammed and stuff. And really what this originally was for was this is going to be an anti-Krios drop because I saw Krios quite a bit. But then again, now my other list, because you can't knock down Colossals, I can just be using that for Krios. So I don't really need Old Rowdy for that. But then again, Old Rowdy is great. He is pretty self-sufficient because he can run and charge for free. And, Striker, the way I play him, I usually try and keep him pretty well camped because I don't want to take any initial damage so I can go overcharging later. But really, I could be dropping him for something else, but so far I've been liking him, right? He's that threat that can get in there and say, hey, if you try punching through, I'll mess you up. And even if something does trample the Striker or something, defense 18 against melee is pretty legit. Now, another counter I have here for shooting and when things get to me is Gorman. So with Gorman, I can put myself in a cloud and keep myself a little bit safer there, or behind a cloud if I want. And then if any heavies I'm worried about trying to break through my line, I can just go and blind them, right? Just go and throw it, and off I go. So he's a really great part of the list. One of the newest additions has been Hawk. And really, I've had a lot of people saying, hey, if you're taking Press Gangers, especially 2 units, you got to take her because they make them weapon masters and she'll make them fearless or reroll, whatever it is. But really, the real thing that kind of changed my mind is not really the weapon master, because a lot of times to be honest, I mean, these press gangers are just 6 points and just run up and jam you. Um, she is there to help deal with trolls. Now, normally, I like this list against trolls because their mats aren't really the greatest. They're usually kind of slow. So I jam them up. And I mean, go ahead and take your warders. You get one attack. I might just tough it. And I can really hold you down from far away. However, if you have a fell caller and you can get bonuses to hit, that's a real issue. And I can't always get there and get the shots with the NIS or whatever. But what I can do is I can have Hawk charging through with aerobatics and killing them that way. And even if you tough the charge attack, I have a second attack. So I'm really looking forward to see how she works. My biggest negative with this list is the fact that I haven't had a chance to practice it. It always seems that whenever it comes up, the correct drop is Cain 2. So I've had lots of practice with that list and not so much here. Now, granted, I've played a lot with Striker 2, but like I said, it's always rotating. Previously, I did a game where I was forgetting to take corpses with Alexia and stuff like that, so I really don't want that to happen again. Finally, the only last thing that's here on the list is the Stormcaller. And, okay, there's Junior, of course, to put out Arcane Shield, so that normally I start off with the Sword Knights, swap it over to Rowdy or to Striker as needed. But the last 1 point there is the Stormcaller. And what this is, again, is, first of all, what else am I going to take for the 1 point? But second of all, the big thing here is that if I'm ever against War Machine, he'll be great because if I just hit you, you're disrupted. So what I can do is jam, 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 and between Striker's shot, which also has disruption, and the Stormcaller, that can be great for just making sure things are disrupted, and they can't really then put out the output to kill my models. Now, the other thing I can do too is, of course, if there's ever some sort of tricky model that's in the way and I just need to snipe out, well, the Stormcaller just calls it down and off you go. So it's 1 point, not that big of a deal. The Steamroller I'm going to, just going to talk a little bit more about it. It's one where it requires painting, so that's why you see what you're seeing here. I would be taking those press gangers if I could, but I just could not paint them in time. But I believe it's 4 games, and there's more players that there could be a tie break at the end, where there's more than one undefeated. So that really works well for me because I always go for scenario. This list here in particular, I jam and then I just start dominating, or I go for Death Clock. So I feel that's really in my favor. Because painting is required, some of the stronger players don't come out because of that. So I feel a bit better there too. So really, I am really pushing for a good showing, especially because this will be the first tournament after I drop Fantasy and say, you know what, I am all in on War Machine. I am going War Machine crazy. And so absolutely what I'm shooting at is top 3. Top 3 is where I definitely want to be. And of course, if I can get first, I'll go for it. Out of all the list of people who are there are ones who beat me more than I beat them, so that is a problem. But I do feel I have the tools to beat them. So there's no one there who's like, man, I'm just screwed. One of the ones who will also be there that I'm hoping to dodge is my brother will be there. My brother will be running Menoth with Krios and Harbinger. And personally, I really feel that I have the advantage in that match because I'm just going to run my Cain list. And he won't be able to drop Harbinger because I'll just shoot her dead. And Krios won't be able to knock my stuff down. Shooting will be, like, I can't shoot him because of Choir, because of his Jack Wall, but all I'm going to just do is kind of repair the damage, and then Cain as needed will just shoot up and probably kill off the errands first, and then go from there. And, I have magic bullets, and I have this, and I have that, so really no problems. I know he does have Terran to try and shoot my guys, my storm walls, so he can shoot through, but, I mean, I know that trick. I'm going to kill her off right away with Cain too, so you know what? I really feel very good about it, but we'll see what happens. So if you have not watched the battle reports, please down below write down what you think of my list, what you think you would change, and then also write how you think I'll do. Will I be 4-0? Am I going to win this thing? Will I be 3-1? And of course, the bell reports will be coming up after. So cross your fingers and we'll see what happens. Bye.